All right, welcome, my friends, to episode 734 of Extreme Health Radio. I hope you're having a great day wherever you are in the world listening to this show. Today, we're going to talk about molecular hydrogen and Brown's gas and the antioxidant effects and really what it does systemically throughout the body and how it can impact and benefit your health for longevity. I got to be careful about how I say this. Disease prevention, maybe? I don't know if that word is being tracked by the government yet or not, but so this is a really powerful technology that I'm really excited to share with you. And this is going to be George's third time on the show. It's episode 734. So what I will do is put the links to everything we talk about at extremehealthradio.com so I can say that /734. And I'll mention that again at the end. But like I said, this is George's third time on the show, and he is an American inventor, lives in Canada as well, and does a lot of work with molecular hydrogen and Brown's gas, and specifically the AquaCure machine, which I have and which he obviously has and uses. And let me ask him to turn his mic on and see if we can hear him all right. George, are you there?
I'm here.
Awesome. How are you, my friend?
I am doing very well. Yes, it's being quite a ride these days.
Yeah, we were talking about before we started recording all the different radio shows you've been on, and just the busyness that life has become now with your machines, right?
Yes, absolutely. I've got 20 people helping me,
Oh,
and we're just
wow.
barely keeping up. I have to. So we'll talk a little bit more about a method I'm intending to do to vastly increase AquaCure production when you're
Yeah,
ready for that.
and yeah, we'll get into that a little bit. And I think that's really awesome and noble of you to provide people the ability to make some money and do some a different line of work that's actually helping people, and that's desperately needed right now, isn't it?
It really is.
Yeah, it's wild because businesses are going out of business, inflation's rising, and the finance and the whole world is changing. And getting into a line of business that allows people to earn some extra money, but also helps people with their health. I think you mentioned on one of our previous shows that this big C little v thing is the number one treatment that they were using in China, I think, for it.
Yes, yes, that's right. So
Wow.
it's yeah, number one treatment that we have with the AquaCure has the Brown's gas. They don't call it Brown's gas over there. Obviously, they have other names, but Yul Brown actually went to what was it in about 87, I think, or something. Back in the late 80s or early 90s, I think it was. He went to China. I don't have my historical records right in front of me, but anyway,
Mm-hmm.
one of the first places he promoted Brown's gas was in China. They had this great big research facility where you could put raw materials in on one end and ICBM missile come out the other end. So it was like they could do everything there. It was,
Wow.
and they invited him, and he went, and he taught them everything about Brown's gas, and that was just before China started really um, becoming a first world nation. Like you probably heard where they were building cities the size of Toronto in like 6 million, 5, 6 million people
Mm.
in 6 weeks time. It was insane the construction and things that they were doing over there. So this happened just before, and then what happened is they incorporated the Brown's gas throughout their society because they didn't have things like uh, gas facilities where people with an oxyacetylene torch can go and rent a bottle now.
Mm-hmm.
You can rent acetylene and oxygen and run your torch. They didn't have any of that infrastructure that was threatened, so they just built it. And so Brown's gas, for example, a mixture of hydrogen and oxygen, works better in what we call an oxyacetylene torch. Instead of putting in acetylene, you're putting in the hydrogen. It
Mm-hmm.
does everything that the acetylene does, almost everything better.
Mm-hmm.
And at a fraction of the cost. So in any case, when they started developing all the applications for Brown's gas, which there's 30 plus applications, health being one of them, they they're way ahead of us over there with using Brown's gas for health, and it's astonishing.
Yeah, it's amazing, and most people here have never even heard of it.
That's
it's, it's
correct. Yes.
it's amazing. Yeah, and hopefully this changes that, and the radio shows that you've been on change that, and that's one of my things is letting people like on our Instagram. I just shared an article about Dr. Frederick Klenner, who was reversing viral diseases in the 1930s and 40s using IV vitamin C, and my point wasn't that you should all go get IV vitamin C, but just that if you're promoting what I like to call the sharp thing, and you don't even know who Dr. Kleiner was, then you've got some learning to do, right? There's like people need to avail themselves of what's available and not just the sharp thing that the government wants to give you, right?
Yes, exactly. And there's been a lot of really astonishing health technologies that have been developed in the past and have been glossed over with the modern allopathic medicine. Even hydrogen was health purposes. I think it was in the 1700s. It was experimented for health, for
Really?
hydrogen for health. And the coming forward, Nikola Tesla, in with all of his inventions, one of them he had was various plasma devices,
Mm-hmm.
rays like blue light and stuff that he could use for health. And he discovered many healthful frequencies. And so he designed his machinery, unlike now where we have cell phones that can actually cause uh, damage in a person's head.
Mm-hmm.
He developed the frequencies that would actually for his devices that would enhance health instead of the opposite. And then there was Rife, Dr. Raymond
Mm-hmm.
Rife. You're familiar with him, I'm
Mm-hmm.
assuming, and just on and on and on. All these people have developed amazing technologies, and most of them just get disappeared. Fortunately, there's been
Yeah.
people that have been working on them, and they haven't been entirely suppressed. And hopefully, they'll be when all this cycle that's currently out, this madness is out there right now.
Mm.
We get to the other side of it and start to rebuild. Uh, like hopefully, these technologies will be built into our new society.
That would be that would be amazing. Now, in terms of molecular hydrogen and the difference between that and Brown's gas, I want to get into that as well. But I'm interested in finding out because in our little screenshot that we have, I have the most powerful antioxidant, and I think you mentioned previously that it's 700 times smaller than CoQ10 and 400 times smaller than vitamin C. And is the power of it because of its molecular weight and size, and it can get all throughout the body, or is there something else that also makes it powerful aside from just how small it is?
That's a good question. First of all, hydrogen is a building block. It doesn't really do anything by itself. It has to have energy and it combines with things to, our bodies are 62% hydrogen by volume, not by weight because the molecule is quite small and light, but by volume, we're 62% hydrogen. So hydrogen is involved in everything that happens in our body. And if we don't have enough, then not good things happen. We can get
Mm-hmm.
into that, although we have gotten into that in previous episodes. So maybe you would give the two previous episode links or show numbers so that people can go back and review that.
Mm-hmm.
So in any case, the hydrogen can go because it's so small. It can literally go right into your cells, into the nucleus, right into your DNA and repair damage on a DNA level. But the hydrogen, like I was saying, it itself doesn't really do anything unless it's got energy and is intelligently directed. So it's just neutral,
Mm-hmm.
like a building brick. You can build a house from it, but you need energy to put the bricks where they belong and intelligent to know where to put the bricks. The body provides the intelligence. It's incredible. The body knows what to do with the hydrogen, which is what I call your most essential macronutrient. Getting back to the oxidation, so the, any, the, we need oxygen to live. You can only live for a few minutes without it. So
Mm-hmm.
it's one of our most important. I have to call it a nutrient at this particular point,
Mm-hmm.
but it also does damage in your body. Oxidation, and it helps with promote inflammation if it isn't controlled. So your body has it's essential nutrient, but your body has a whole bunch of control mechanisms to prevent it from doing bad things in you.
Mm-hmm.
And if those control mechanisms get out of sync, often because there's a lack of hydrogen, then you get something called free radicals, and they can cause something called oxidative cascade, which is essentially where a molecule, something will grab an electron from something else,
Mm-hmm.
so that because it's electron deficient, and then that thing is electron deficient, so it goes around and grabs an electron from something else, and it just causes this cascade of oxidation happening. And the Brown's gas, in addition to the hydrogen, okay, so the hydrogen can reduce the oxidation directly because hydrogen combined with oxygen makes water. So there's zero negative side effects of this oxidation. Now, the other thing that happens is hydrogen is a selective antioxidant. There are oxidants in your body, like nitrous oxide, that you want because it promotes vascular flexibility and health, and for us men, uh, helps us stand up
Mm-hmm.
properly. So we can.
That's a pretty good way of saying that. That's good.
That's what the little blue pill does. Is it gives a whole bunch of nitrous oxide. So
Yeah.
anyway, in order for us to be healthy, we have to have some of these oxidants in our body. But the hydrogen doesn't get rid of those. It only gets rid of the bad ones because of the electropotential and things like that. So it's a selective antioxidant as well as the best antioxidant. And the Brown's gas adds an extra feature to the molecular hydrogen. So Brown's gas contains molecular hydrogen,
Uh-huh.
also contains some oxygen, which is just enough oxygen to overcome or to replace the oxygen you would normally get when you're inhaling your nitrogen oxygen mixture from the air. So now
Mm-hmm.
you're inhaling a portion of it is a hydrogen oxygen mixture. But then the Brown's gas also contains something called electrically expanded water, which, without getting into it right at the moment, is a form of water that has a bunch of extra electrons. So we're providing not only the hydrogen, but electrons. And remember what I was talking about, the oxidative cascade. These various molecules are grabbing electrons because the body is electron deficient. So when you provide the hydrogen and the extra electrons, you simply quiet all that down. So the Brown's gas, in addition to being an antioxidant, it prevents oxidative cascade, and it calms inflammation dramatically, which is one of the biggest causes of pain.
Yeah, it's
So
interesting. I was doing some research recently on the cell membrane and electron loss across that voltage gated calcium ion channel, and maintaining cellular voltage across the membrane. And when they were in the article, it was just talking about how when electrons get stolen from the membrane, you need something like vitamin E to donate electrons. But I was thinking that they obviously don't know about molecular hydrogen or Brown's gas, because if you can restore the electrons across the cell membrane, then you can prevent things outside the cell from getting inside the cell, and that's a huge problem, right?
that is absolutely correct. Now, I'm a certified automotive technician, one of my trades. And I don't know if many people, but if you do a little bit of research, you'll find something out there, and I'm getting to the point, where you can attach this device. Uh, you could even just use a bar of zinc and bolt it to your vehicle on a ground like your frame or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
and it becomes an electron donor. This bar of zinc. So whenever the body, or in this case, the body of the vehicle starts to try to rust, which is an oxidative process,
Mm-hmm.
where oxygen is trying to pull electrons off of the body and create rust. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
oxidation, rust. The zinc provides the electrons that are necessary to prevent that. Uh, what do you call it? Uh, there's a word for it where it does the zinc before it'll do the iron, kind of thing.
Oh,
So
right.
anyway, and so the hydrogen does essentially the same thing. Now, there's also an electronic version of that, and I put that on all my vehicles, so they essentially don't rust. Um, and there's an electronic version of the zinc bar, and I put those on my vehicles. And so what the hydrogen does is a very similar thing to that. It prevents the cell membranes from having to give up electrons
Uh-huh.
because it provides the electrons needed to stop the molecules that would ordinarily be grabbing electrons from the cell membranes. So in addition to repair, which it does do,
Uh-huh.
it helps the cells repair themselves. It prevents the damage in the first place.
So what's cool about that too is I think the average life of a red blood cell is like somewhere around 120 days. And so if you're preventing the rust or the lack or the loss of electrons on cell membranes, essentially you'd create for example, in this example, a red blood cell lasting and living a lot longer too, right?
Healthily. As long as it lives, it lives. But as long as it lives, it's also healthy. So it's
Uh-huh.
doing its job.
That's cool. I was reading this article a while back called, you probably read it. I'm sure you have. I think it was a PubMed article called "The Free Radical Theory of Aging." I think, um, and
I,
it's fascinating because this fits right in with that. If you realize there's really only one disease, and that's the loss of electrons and rust as a result of massive amounts of oxidation. Like this gets to the root cause of that.
That's exactly right. I don't know if I've read this particular article that you're talking about, but I've read many similar ones. And when it comes down to the oxidation, inflammation, there's those. If you look out there, you'll see that many doctors are realizing that that is a root cause of virtually every ailment known to man,
Mm-hmm.
and which is one reason why the Brown's gas. I say that it helps virtually the body heal from virtually every ailment known to man. And there's doctors out there that say, "Oh, I healed you." There's a study on my eagle-research.life life website that shows this woman who chose Brown's gas as the only mitigation for this. I'm not sure if you're allowed to say it in here, but the big C. Okay,
The big C.
that's
Oh, right. Extra
that's
cells. Yes.
knocking off a lot of people these days.
Yes.
And so what they discovered was that if she was what she did was she inhaled for at least 8 hours a day, and in I think it's 3 or 6 months, I forget exactly when she had her next and she had lung cancer that had metastasized to the brain.
Oh, wow.
So in I'm going to say 3 months time. You have to look at the study. My memory isn't telling me right now. Um, she went back for another checkup, and her brain cancer was entirely gone, and the lungs were almost free. So
Wow.
in a very short time, less than half a year, uh, just with Brown's gas, and that's it. The body was able to heal itself. And as I was about to say, doctors don't heal people. Like allopathic doctors, a lot of them think they're gods, and bless them, they are there to help people. And God knows I wouldn't want their job. So and they do a lot of good, but some of them actually think they're the ones that are healing. The body heals itself. The
Mm-hmm.
best that a doctor can do is put the body in a state or what have you that it can heal itself. If you're healing a broken bone, you set the bone back to where it's supposed to be, and the body does the healing. This is so everything, every ailment that you have, all you have to do is give the body what it needs, and the body can pretty much heal itself, unless you've gone so far over the edge that you just don't have time to heal. But
Yeah.
so it's astonishing what can be done.
I think I heard Dr. Circus reference that study on his work with molecular hydrogen. Is that correct?
Probably
Yeah.
he's right up on a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, it's wild because if you think about what this is doing in terms of the donation of electrons, it would make sense to me that it would be similar to sort of standing on the Earth, being grounded, because the Earth would be an electron donor in that case. And so this is essentially like not a mitigation, but a standalone or a stand-in for, grounding to the Earth, right?
Yes, as far as electron donation, a lot of people don't get their feet on the earth often enough anymore these days. I don't know when shoes started to be done, but
Yeah.
an unfortunate side effect of the shoes is that people don't get the energy that they need, the electrons from the earth. There are other technologies that provide electrons or even photons that turn into electrons
Uh-huh.
in the body. So you've got light therapies. You've got a really good one is the various heat therapies, infrared,
Uh-huh.
uh, because that enhances something called EZ gel. Uh,
Uh-huh.
uh, Dr. Gerald Pollack, or sorry, Professor Gerald Pollack, um, uh, discovered. Actually, it was one of his students discovered, and they've made it public knowledge. This thing called EZ gel, which he called the fourth phase of water in his book, and it turns out that EZ gel is enhanced by infrared radiation, and there's also TENS machines and stuff like that out there that provide electrons. But getting back to this, it turns out that he should get a Nobel Prize for this. He really,
Oh,
really
wow.
should, because most people don't know that red blood cells are about 3 times larger than the capillaries they have to go through when you get right down to the very end of it. So unless the red blood cells can turn into something that looks like a hot dog, a long, long, narrow shape,
Uh-huh.
and like deform and then slide through these, your blood's not going anywhere. And it turns out that you have to have a really slippery, because you've got like what is it, 100,000 miles of capillaries or something like that
Uh-huh.
in the body. You have to have it has to be really, really slippery, and that's what this EZ gel does. Is it coats all the outside of the red blood cell and the outside or the inside of all the veins and arteries and capillaries, and it allows the slipperiness to flow through. In fact, they've even shown that the easy gel, because of the polarity charge and stuff that's on it, can start a flow even without a pump.
Oh, interesting.
And there are people out there that are showing that the heart is more regulating the flow of blood than it is pumping blood, interestingly enough. So because if you actually had the heart pumping through all of these thousands and thousands of miles of capillaries, the heart isn't big enough to do that. There has to be another factor, and it turns
Right.
out that this is. Also, the easy gel is what plumps up all the cells. Like the inside of a cell isn't water; it's this gel substance, and so it's inside, outside. Our bodies are made of it. That's why he should be getting a Nobel Prize. This is something that everyone needs to know, and almost nobody does know. And it turns out that Brown's gas makes that easy gel even faster and thicker than as good as infrared. So
Oh,
that's
that's
another
interesting.
advantage of the Brown's gas is it helps this easy gel.
Yeah, that's fascinating because it's my understanding that I think that happens on in complex 4 of this like cytochrome C oxidase of the mitochondrial membrane, is where you turn oxygen into water. It's my understanding, and I didn't know that molecular hydrogen does that. That's fascinating, and I think it carries a voltage too. The easy water gel, right?
Yes, that's correct. I think it's negatively charged if I remember correctly.
And I wonder, so it's weird to think that you could actually hydrate yourself by doing like a far infrared sauna or taking molecular hydrogen. And I wonder if we really do need to be drinking all this water if it's just going right through us when we should be making water in our mitochondria, right? It's like,
Well,
you
the
wonder.
making of water, it takes, we are making water anyway, because the oxygen and hydrogens are going to combine and while it's making the ATP and all other kind of things, you end up with water as a waste product, if you will.
Uh huh.
Uh, so, but you do need some liquid water because water, yeah, you definitely need to drink water, but you have to drink water that has a low ORP, a negative ORP. When I'm saying low, I mean negative,
Uh huh.
uh, because ORP, oxygen reduction potential, is measured in millivolts, and the millivolts are a factor of electrons. So if you have a positive ORP, it means the water is electron deficient. And
Okay.
when you drink that water, it will actually take electrons from your body to neutralize itself.
Oh, interesting.
So
Okay.
so you need to drink water with a negative ORP, because then when you drink the water, it actually giving you electrons, giving your body the energy that it needs instead of taking from it. But in any case, you do need to drink the water.
I've got an invention idea for you.
Mm.
Um, a molecular hydrogen device that also depletes deuterium. That would be amazing, right?
Uh, okay, I'll give you a little tip, you and our listeners. The AquaCure is set up to have an attachment put on it that people can make their own deuterium depleted water from with using the AquaCure and this attachment that I need to have time. Like we've already experimented. It's already a proven technology. I just need to make a commercial version that it attaches to the AquaCure, and
Wait a
it'll
sec.
fit all previous AquaCures.
I was just going to ask that. Okay, because I have one, obviously, and I could attach it to. So it's just another device that you could make that would do that.
Yes, that's correct.
Oh my goodness, that would be incredible.
Yes, and the thing is about deuterium, a person has to remember, like anything, a little is good, a lot is too much, or is not good. So you need some deuterium in your body. Deuterium is essentially heavy water,
Mm-hmm.
and heavy water they use for damping nuclear reactions, for example, controlling nuclear reactions,
Uh
and
huh.
it does that exact same thing in your body. But if you get too much of the deuterium in your body, you dampen it down too far, and you lose energy. So or even the ability to process the energy that you have. So there's a balance, and we've been getting too much deuterium in our bodies. So that's why, and the body does get rid of the deuterium over time. So if you can drink deuterium depleted water, then your body can come back into, I'm going to call it homeostasis as far as deuterium is concerned. That way, people can balance it out and get their energy levels back. But you don't want to take away all the deuterium uh, out of your body, because then things just go wild and amok when they shouldn't.
Yeah. We had a guest, I forget, of the Deuterium, I think, Institute or something like that, and we went into a deep dive on what it does and the beneficial effects. So you're saying that that you'll be able to, I guess, at some point in the future, that's on the list of things to mass produce for your devices.
There's two top things that I need to do for attachments on the AquaCure, and that's one of the reasons why I really need to have this manufacturing thing set up. Is now a good time?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's talk about
5 o'clock?
that as well, so we can sort of
Okay.
jump right into it.
Okay. What I've done in the past, or I started doing just before the this pandemic hit, is I had an in-shop course so that people could come in and learn how to manufacture the AquaCures. And one student completed the course. His name is Ryan Chernko, and he's a Canadian in Saskatchewan. And running his business is now making six figures in income, making AquaCures,
Oh wow,
and yeah, doing really good,
that's
doing really
great.
well.
Yeah.
So the and growing all the time, just like I was and
Hmm.
am. So what we need is somebody who is manufacturing AquaCures everywhere. We need lots of little manufacturers.
Hmm.
And instead of myself becoming like Elon Musk and having a gigafactory
Hmm.
making AquaCures, because I really need to have an AquaCure. I need personally.
Yeah, exactly right.
My goal is to have an AquaCure in every home. It will absolutely revolutionize the health of the entire world if everyone has one of these things. Hospitals and doctors won't be overrun anymore. They'll be there for they could theoretically be there for actual health aspects, like somebody gets a broken bone or in a car accident. They'll, but most diseases that are filling our hospitals now, like the heart diseases and Parkinson's and Alzheimer's and all these kind of things, will be mitigated or even in some cases eliminated if there's an AquaCure in every home. And these things with viruses and colds and flus and stuff, when you increase the efficiency of your and efficacy of your immune system, your own natural immune system, it can take care of virtually everything that even artificial things that have been made out there. So
Hmm.
putting an AquaCure in every home is my goal. Now, I I actually want to retire someday, so I'm making my business so it can run without me.
Hmm.
But also, I don't need to be have more money than I have right now. More because the more money and the more things you're doing, the more time it takes. I'm already getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm working till 5, spending a few hours with my wife because she insisted.
Uh-huh.
I was
Right.
working straight through until 8 o'clock for 2 years,
Oh wow.
from 3 o'clock in the morning till 8 p.m. at night. And she said, "Why are we married? You're just a warm spot in the bed."
Yeah.
So, and when it comes down to it, a person has to live their life as well,
Uh-huh.
and just working essentially 24 hours a day, except for when I'm sleeping. I was eating at my computer. I was doing just working as hard as I could, and I pretty much still am. But that doesn't give a person a life. Having a family relationship and enjoying life together with someone, that is the what's giving a life. And I'm healthy. I want to enjoy this at time. And that's one thing that the Browns gas does as well, according to the mouse studies and stuff they've been doing, is give it an additional 30 to 50% healthful life extension. So can you imagine if these young people are inhaling and they have this life extension, how much more enjoyment of life they could get, how much more things they could do
Hmm.
in life? It's astonishing. So to even think about. So if we can get those out there. So it comes down to I have a choice of either making a gigafactory or teaching other people. And my business has been built on teaching people from the start. Back in 1984, when I started with the carburetor enhancer manual, there's a story about how that all happened. But I learned that in order for my technologies to actually get out there as an inventor, it was much more efficient to simply teach people directly and and sell the products directly. No patenting, no anything else. I did copyright my books and videos and stuff, but I don't go with any patenting at all. Instead, what I
Right.
do is I teach as many people as possible. And several people have made millions of dollars, not just one, several people over the years with making my inventions and selling them and things like that. So this time I decided to do it myself because I wanted to have enough money to retire on. I now have enough money to retire on and a home and everything taken care of. And I'm doing preparations for this insanity that I see coming down the tracks. Everybody might think things are getting a little better right at the moment. I'm saying this is a breather. Take advantage of it.
Yep.
Get prepared. Okay. And part of getting prepared, I'm providing. So people who have some do-it-yourself mechanical ability and at least a one-car garage or a larger house or something where they can make themselves a little manufacturing facility, and you can make one a week or you can make 10 a day. You could build the AquaCures if you take my course, which I'm having as a $10,000 course to give you everything you need to know, everything I use personally to build the your own business so that you can build and sell the AquaCures in your location. Now, another advantage of that is that I'm actually training the technicians everywhere. And what I'd like to see is in every country, in every state, in every county or municipality, I'd like to see somebody building these machines because there's billions of them that need to be built. The market, and they sell themselves. As soon as somebody's using it, like I am right now with this, when I'm inhaling, it's the health benefits that you get. Again, if you go to the eagle-research.life website, there's a little about me, and it'll describe some of the health benefits that I've had. And then there's other testimonials and things that we put up there, but I haven't even had time to put up. I get testimonials every day. I haven't even had time to build that portion of the website. I'm gonna have to hire somebody just to do that.
Oh man, I hear you.
It's yeah, it's a lot. But in the meantime, I'm dedicatedly putting together this course, which I think maybe late June, July at this particular point, I can release it. If anyone emails me from the website, the contact us page on eagle-research.life or .com website, just say I'm interested in the manufacturing course. I'll send you how to sign up and things, and you'll get notification when the course is ready. So this is what it does. I'm spreading it around so that people can make the AquaCures to make money in their own homes with an essential business. This will not be shut down if there's a pandemic because you're providing health equipment. Okay, so you've got essential business you can do in your own home, and you're helping people. And if you're helping people in your local community, because one of the things I'll also be doing, we're building a lot of addition on the website, is a map. So it'll show you where, well, you can put yourself on the map, but it'll show you where every AquaCure in the world is. So you can see that there's somebody near you that has AquaCures already. And I'll teach how to approach various marketing venues and things so you can make sure to sell every AquaCure that you can build.
This is
so go ahead.
I've got a ton of questions about this. This is really cool because on one end, I see the benefits of what you're talking about in terms of a personal benefit for you and being able to give yourself some more time and allow your business to run without you. But then also the other benefit too I see is, just the more people using and creating these, the less sort of able the government is to come after, this kind of technology.
Correct.
Right?
And I was also about to say it trains the technicians. So anybody that's around you that needs to have repairs or updates or upgrades or whatever AquaCure related, there'll be technicians, because any new technology doesn't have technicians.
That's true.
So all this hydrogen for health and brown gas for health technologies, there's no technicians out there. When, for example, I just sent one to New Zealand because the timer switch on it failed. I had to send a machine, an exchange to New Zealand. When you're doing that from America, it doesn't make sense. You're sending machines halfway around the world. There's got to be manufacturers in New Zealand that can take care of these things for New Zealanders.
That's great. So from a business perspective, would you be sort of getting a cut of the sales, or you just sell the course and people set up their own businesses and do their own marketing? How does all that work?
On my side, what I get from it, so everybody needs to know, yes, the course pretty much just pays for itself. I hesitate to, if you go on my website, .com, you'll be able to see how much my hourly rate is. And you'll see you're getting a heck of a deal at $10,000 as far as that's concerned. But even my bill of materials cost me in the range of $100,000 to find all of the particular things and fine tune all the things that are necessary to build the AquaCure the way it is right now. And part of the thing is, the course is I'll invite people that want to join a membership. So there'll be a membership fee, a monthly fee that people can be part of a consortium of AquaCure manufacturers, and then any improvements. So this is kind of like I call it a franchise like. So any improvements that one makes, everybody can make. So as the whole technology continues to rise and we become a gold standard,
That's
continue to be a
awesome.
gold standard for this technology. Um, but what I get first is the initial $10,000. But like I say, that pretty much just covers expenses and things. Even the video I'm making is almost $40,000 to make the video by itself. So then there's a royalty on each machine made.
Hmm.
So the machines, you'll get a little serial number kit and such, and an authorization to use the AquaCure name uh, when you buy these kits. And so you're essentially paying my royalty up front by buying this little kit that then you would use to help assemble your own AquaCures. So there's that royalty thing that happens, and then and the bookkeeping on that becomes very simple then because you buy it, you got it, you make it or not as you choose.
Hmm.
And then and the other thing is server things. People want to have their websites, and we're designing a thing where people can have their own AquaCure branded website on our servers, and there's a little server fee, like $10 a month or something. So there's these various small things that pay for the continuation of the program at the same time as bringing me in some money.
That's awesome. Yeah. So it sort of decentralizes the entire process, which is great. And for me, I think it's so cool because a lot of people are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to go to expensive colleges and things with no guarantee. And this is sort of like a business in a box in a sense that um, you have this product that you can offer people, but then also help maintain them and help people with their health. Like it's just a win-win. So going back to what we were talking about before, you were mentioning that sort of like because I was talking to you about the deuterium, and you said you kind of had to choose between doing this upgraded deuterium and then creating this course. Were you saying that in regards to how if you're able to do this course, then you can start building the deuterium attachments?
That's exactly right.
Okay.
Because right now in fact, I have to be fairly quiet. I don't come on very many shows. You've heard me out there speaking,
Mm-hmm.
but there's been weeks and months that I haven't spoken on any shows because I was just trying to fill back orders, and
Yeah.
I couldn't afford to open my mouth because there would be so many orders. These things they really do sell themselves, and so 100% of my time was just doing my best to try to fill the orders. And if there's a lot of manufacturers out there, then we can kind of spread around the love. And I don't have to manufacture so much, and I can step back and do these things, these attachments that are already developed. Like the research has already been done. All I have to do is finish making the commercialized version, and then again, every one of the manufacturers that's making AquaCures could be making these things as well.
Wow.
Yep.
That's amazing. Wow. I mean, just the fact that you can add that on. And so that would just be an attachment that you could either upgrade to if you're buying it or whatever. You can just upgrade with that attachment, right?
Yes, and the AquaCures are specifically designed. Uh, in the past, it was almost like redundancies that weren't really needed, but I
Hmm.
but I built them in right from the start so that they would be able to, because I knew I was going to be coming out with these attachments, which I wanted to do at least a couple of years ago, but turns out
No
just
time.
a guy gets pretty busy. Yeah.
Maybe the AquaCure can, create more time for you somehow.
Well,
That'd be
it's
awesome.
doing a pretty good job because yeah, I've told you the hours that I work, and I'm able to be productive during all that time.
That's
I
awesome.
don't know any other thing that like I don't even drink coffee. I'm just I this is what I do. I inhale the Brown's gas when I'm at the computer, and and it seems to keep me alert so that I can maximize my time.
So we have a few questions about the safety of the machine, the warranty, and since we're kind of talking about the nuts and bolts of the machine a little bit here with the attachment, um, let's get into a little bit because I want to also ask you after that about some of your own health benefits because we have a couple questions about that. But in terms of the machine, let's just explain to people like when they get it. There's obviously a way to set it up that we can get into, but like how does it work, and just getting into like daily use of it and stuff like that, and use like applications and things. I think people would be like to hear about that.
Good. Uh, it is more maintenance and setup than molecular hydrogen. Like the molecular hydrogen machines are very simple, and a person needs to have at least these days. It needs to have at least molecular hydrogen.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very simple. You just put in distilled water into the machines, and it makes the hydrogen gas, and you inhale it. So the straightforward um, molecular hydrogen machines are very simple. The Brown's gas turns out to be about 30% more therapeutically efficacious, and I'm going for top of the line. Unfortunately, the side effect is that you have more maintenance. For example, when you don't just put in distilled water, the initial charge has lye put in with it.
Mm-hmm.
So you mix it up like Kool-Aid and you pour it in there initially. You've done it yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and then you don't have to put in any more for a long, long time. But you are going to have to occasionally dump the machine out. You save the electrolyte solution, but you clarify it and you rinse out the machine because sludge and soap and stuff does build up in the machine as side effects of the Brown's gas electrolysis.
Mm-hmm.
So every 100, 200 hours, you'll be doing this dump and rinse and then put the electrolyte back in and continue on. You'll be putting water in it as often as you would with molecular hydrogen. So that's not a really additional thing, but you do have some additional maintenance that you do need to do. So on a daily basis, actually on a daily basis, there's almost nothing. Every couple of days or something, you'd take water out of one of the containers and squirt it into the machine. And you change out the water in the what we call the humidifier, which is scrubbing any little tiny bits of lye that would be coming out of the machine. And when I say tiny bits, I do mean tiny amounts of lye would come out with the gas, not the Brown's gas itself, because the Brown's gas is pure hydrogen, oxygen, electrically expanded water. But anytime you have water, you're going to have some water vapor.
Mm-hmm.
And that water vapor, the teeny little drops of water vapor, can have a teenier amount of lye in it. So those little teeny drops of water vapor is where the lye can escape from the machine. Otherwise, it's supposed to stay in the machine and act as a catalyst. And it's kind of like a wire in there. It allows the conductivity, which allows the electrolysis to work.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, those little teeny drops of water moisture go through the humidifier, and the cool water there grabs them, and so the lye stays in the humidifier, what teeny amount there is, and there's pure gas going out to the drinking water bubbler and the inhalation.
Mm-hmm.
And then you take the water from the humidifier, and that's what you pour back into the machine. So whatever teeny amount of lye came out, you're putting it back into the machine, and then you dump whatever excess there is out of that down the sink. Now, the lye mixture you're putting into the machine when it's cool is just like concentrated soap.
Mm-hmm.
It's very slippery, and if you get it on your hands, unless you get it in a mucous membrane or something, or keep it on your hands for days, hours, it won't burn you. It's not caustic like potassium hydroxide or lithium hydroxide.
Right.
It's relatively benign. In fact, soap used to be made out of lye for pretty much as long as man has been around, and as far as nature is concerned, lye was made from wood ashes. You just simply leach water through wood ashes, and then you allow that water to evaporate, and the white powder that's left behind is the lye. So every time
Interesting.
there's a forest fire, all this lye would be made, and when there's a rain, then it would go down into the lakes and rivers and prevent it from acid water from forming. It keeps
Oh.
the water in nature more alkaline. So it's a very natural product. I tested thousands of different electrolytes and concentrations to find lye to be the most practical.
Mm-hmm.
It's readily available. It's relatively benign. It's very efficient. In fact, my electrolyzers are designed specifically for lye instead of like potassium hydroxide, which is called KOH,
Uh-huh.
instead of lye, which is NaOH, sodium hydroxide. They're actually, if you put the KOH in our machines, not only is the materials not compatible, but you'll actually get less Brown's gas than if you're using the lye because our machines have optimized for the lye production
Interesting.
with sodium hydroxide. Yep.
That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I found it pretty easy, like your step-by-step instructions on getting it set up. As long as you just follow what you're doing in the video. So I would just watch the video for 20 seconds and then do what you did and then play it again for 20 more seconds. I mean, as long as you're following your
Mhm.
instructions, it's pretty easy.
You gotta love videos these days. Back in the days when I first was in the mail order business, there was really no such thing.
Yeah.
And man, technology has really advanced. And so you can just press the pause button on your smartphone and
Yeah, it's great. It's
and-
easy. I
yeah.
tell you what, if there were no video, I would just be lost because I'm not the type of person to read instruction manuals. It's just not me. But the video makes it super easy.
Well, we're guys, when
Yeah.
all else fails, then you read the instructions, right?
So whenever I see technology like this or products like this, I always hear about the benefits, and we talked a little bit about the benefits, just in terms of the foundational approach to the loss of electrons and oxidation. But I often wonder too, like, what are some of like, how can you use this product? And so let's talk a little bit about for people that are wondering, how they can use it. There's a lot of different use applications, and you have some attachments that you include, which are really cool, which I haven't even tried yet. But let's just talk about the use applications for a minute and tell people what they can do with this.
That's a really good question. Okay, so quickly going over it, Mike, if you listen to the history, you'll find that I was first told by one of my customers about Brown's Gas for Health as bubbling it in water and then using it to cure a melanoma on this particular fellow's head.
Hmm.
So the bubbled water, where you bubble it and you can either drink the water or apply it topically. Now, everybody's into the drinking of hydrogen-rich water these days, so that's fairly common. Or you can apply the water topically to help the skin heal. Now, when you ingest the Brown's gas or apply, excuse me, when you ingest it or inhale it, your body decides what's going to be healed
Hmm.
because it just distributes around and the body knows what it needs to do. So you may have arthritis, for example, which I did, and the body, it may take time for the body to get around to mitigating that because there's other things that it feels it needs to do, like fixing the hearts and the capillaries and cardiovascular system, or something wrong with the brain. It
Hmm.
does those things first. So when you're ingesting it, your body decides. But when you apply it topically, like to the skin, either the water or the gas, so I call it the four protocols. The first four protocols, number 5 and 6, are coming with these attachments that I was talking about. But the first four protocols are the water ingested or water topically applied, or gas inhaled or topically applied.
Hmm.
So, and we've learned all these things in the last 20 years after we finally got going and people were experimenting. And I learned about the topical application. So I learned about the drinking from a customer. I learned about the topical application from a chiropractor. His name was Lloyd Jacob at the time. He since fell down a flight of stairs and broke his neck. So that was the end of that.
Oh,
It was
wow.
unfortunate. Yeah, it was. But in any case, what he was doing, he was an elderly man at the time, and he came to my shop thinking that because he was doing oxidative therapies topically as a chiropractor, and so oxygen, he knew that Brown's gas had oxygen in it, so he wanted to experiment with it, and the experiments went really well, uh, and so he ended up getting a machine made in his own chiropractic, and he came out of retirement and was treating clients. And his machine broke down because it was a home built machine at that time. He had somebody build it for him out of my with my plans for my Brown's Gas book too.
Uh-huh.
So now he didn't know how to build it himself or repair it, and the guy had moved away who had built it. So he called me in a panic saying, "My customers won't come in if they can't get a Brown's Gas treatment at the same time as they're getting a chiropractic treatment." So this chiropractor was essentially out of work because his Brown's Gas machine was broke down.
Oh my gosh.
So at that point, I was selling the commercial sized machines. And so he came up immediately next day, bought a machine, went down, and he was happy, worked for several more years. And then that gets into the transmutation story as well with that particular machine. But anyway, he was cupping, what I call cupping. He would put like a bread bag on a person's arm, and in 10 minutes with the Brown's gas, he could mitigate all the pain from carpal tunnel syndrome, for example. Or if a person had a knot on their back and he couldn't normally adjust it because the muscles were too tight, he would put a cup, and he made several different kinds of cups. One of them was a toilet bowl plunger. Okay, so it was a rubber circle
Oh
with it,
yeah.
and he just put a hose where the handle would normally be, and he had this, and he just cupped it with that. So he got really innovative on all the different kinds of cupping things that he had that he could do. And interestingly enough, he was then able to adjust his wife, his own wife. He had never been able to adjust. He was a chiropractor. All of these years they were married, he was never able to adjust her until after he applied the Brown's gas on her muscles and they relaxed, and then he was able to adjust her. So that was an interesting side story as well.
Wow, interesting.
So you've got the four modalities. You've got the bubbling of the water that then you can drink and do all the internal things, or you can apply topically for rashes, virtually anything on the skin. And you've got the in gas where you can inhale, like I'm doing right now, and you can also apply it topically with these cups or bags or something like that. Like there's one person in Germany. They did a shower cap. They did a study on him. He had a really bad case of a mixture of psoriasis. Sorry. Anyway, it was cancer of the skin on his
Oh,
head. And if you go to the eagle-research.life website, you'll see the pictures. In 3 weeks' time, it was virtually gone. You couldn't tell that there was any. And what they did was they put a shower cap on the person's head, and then the gas up into the shower cap, just normal shower cap that you'd go to the shower, and that's all it took to mitigate that particular skin cancer.
and
So go ahead.
and was he doing that for a certain amount of time? You said 3 weeks, but was it like 8 hours a day, or what was the?
No, that was only 20 minutes a day,
Oh
20
wow.
minutes treatments. Yeah, it was not very much.
You know,
He
it's
might have been doing 20 minutes 3 times a day. They sent him home with the machine after the final picture, and I never did get any more pictures after that. But I'm assuming since the machine never came back that he's enjoying it.
it'd be interesting to find out. Like, I wonder what the synergistic, you know, I guess use case would be of like applying DMSO to the skin and then doing something like that plunger you mentioned. And I wonder if the molecular hydrogen would be somehow interact with the DMSO on the skin to apply topically. I wonder if have you heard of
Yeah,
anyone
the
doing that?
DMSO really helps things get into the skin better. The
Yeah.
hydrogen really doesn't need it, but I would assume that if you used it, it would even put more hydrogen through the skin.
That'd
The
be
hydrogen molecule is so small that it actually goes through the skin fairly readily,
oh
which is
wow.
one of the reasons that it mitigates the inflammation um, of the carpal tunnel, of the tendon sheath that's making the carpal tunnel painful, is because it's all swollen because it's dehydrated in actual lack of hydrogen sense. So you're actually putting the hydrogen in to rehydrate and get rid of the inflammation, which is causing the pain of the carpal tunnel syndrome. But that goes right through the skin and into the tendons and blood and what have you. In fact, back in the day when that's all we were doing is treating things like arthritis and carpal tunnel. We One of the ladies that was done came up to my wife and told her, she hasn't still yet told me what it was, but she had another health issue that was feminine related elsewhere in her body that was mitigated with just the bagging technique on the arms.
Oh wow.
So once the hydrogen got into the blood, it goes everywhere in the body. Just like when you're inhaling, you get into the lungs. Obviously, it's easy to get everywhere in the body, but even just the bagging did a good job of getting it into the body.
Have you heard of people having success stories doing it in their bath and getting and sitting in it like that?
In their bath. Yes, sorry,
Yeah.
that's a really good point. Yes, people that are bathing with it are noting now. My house is under construction right now. Most of the rooms, the living room's good, but our bathroom that has a bathtub in it, I don't have right now, so I can't do it. And
Oh
in
wow.
about 2 months, I should have that done. Again, it comes down to time. You gotta
I
have time
know.
to do these things.
And you
So in
have
any
to have
case,
a special attachment, right, to let out more Brown's gas into a bigger area, right?
no, it comes with a bubbling stone for that, a remote bubbling stone. So you've got
Oh,
a
okay.
7 foot hose, which you can get longer hose. You can have a 100-foot hose if you want. Oxygen
Hmm.
hoses work just fine with this. And you can, so you set the Brown's gas machine there and just run the hose with a bubbling stone into your bathtub. and the bubbling in there puts the hydrogen-rich water essentially that you're bathing in, and evidently when you apply water, it's almost like the DMSO. When you
Uh-huh.
put the water on the skin, it preferentially, and that's actually the word I was thinking of for zinc back in the day, or back in the beginning, grabs the hydrogen out of the water easily. Like you've probably seen experiments where they're showing how to how much chlorine there is in the water, and
Mm-hmm.
if you when they test for the chlorine, and then if you just put your finger in the water and swish it around, and then test for chlorine again, the chlorine is gone. It's actually gone into your skin. The
Oh.
hydrogen does a similar thing. Whatever hydrogen goes into the water, just your skin just absorbs it really easily when it's soaked with water.
That's amazing. Yeah, so it's just super transdermal in that way, and then it allows your body to do what it needs to do with it, whatever it chooses, right?
That's exactly right. And
That's
evidently, the people that are coming out of that feel amazing. Their skin feels amazing. And Japanese, like I say, over in Asia, Brown's gas is big, and they have Brown's gas is a big thing in the spas, in the Japanese spas, and they've developed this thing where you can take essentially dish soap, get some soap that's really good for the skin.
mm-hmm.
Like there are some varieties out there, and you bubble the Brown's gas in water that has the soap in it, and you get all the soap bubbles, and you can put that soap bubbles with the Brown's gas on your skin anywhere, and then you're getting a treatment even without a bath. You're getting a hydrogen going into the skin.
Oh my gosh, I never
So
thought of that. That's an interesting use case.
yeah,
Wow, because I know
works
you
really
also
well.
you have an attachment as well. Because I think there's a big issue now. We just had a guest recently, a doctor, for vision and talking about eye health and stuff. And with people looking at their screens and blue light and all this stuff, people are getting myopia and vision issues. And see, like I've never done the bath thing, and you also have an attachment where people can bubble the Brown's gas into like a pair of goggles. I've never done that either. But if people have vision issues, that could be something to look at too, right?
It really is, and it really does. And I've had quite a few testimonials from that. So essentially, one particular distributor said, "I'll sell your machine if you put in hand gloves and goggles so that people can handle the lie safely."
Oh yeah.
And I'm a big
Yeah.
and I'm a big twofer guy. I haven't put on gloves or goggles to handle lie in 40 years
Yeah.
because it just, in my opinion, isn't needed. But there's people that want it, and quite frankly, for liability purposes, I need to provide this sort of stuff just so that I can show that I'm being diligent about people's health. So in any case, what I did then is I got goggles that I could and put a little hose fitting on it, so people could put the goggles on it and then put the Brown's gas in there. So you're actually feeding Brown's gas in where your eye cavities are in the goggles, and treat the eyes with this. So that in addition to the goggles for the use of um, spray or drops or whatever might possibly happen, uh, a spare a leaf flying by getting into your eyes while you're mixing the
Yeah. What?
a bug, who knows? But in any case, yeah, so that's the twofer thing that I'm talking about for that,
That's cool.
for safety purposes or for the goggles in the eye. And then I include some big gloves as well, some not latex, what do they call it, the knife shoot. Anyway, it's rubber gloves that then, in addition to handling the lye solution and what have you, when you take off the gloves, you can wash them. Obviously, just get this. Whenever there's lye on something, you just have to wash it until the slippery feeling is gone. The
Yeah.
slippery feeling is what is that lye thing. It's what made soap slippery, right? So, in any case, you wash it until the slippery feeling is gone, the lye's gone, and then you can put the Brown's gas in the glove with your hand, like you're treating um, arthritis or something like that. Maybe you have hand warts.
Uh-huh.
You can treat your hand with the gas, and the gas just goes in with the glove. So those are the kind of twofer things that are having, and we're also including now a tea, so that on the top of the drinking water bubbler, where you would normally put your cannula to come off,
Uh-huh.
you can tea and have two cannulas coming off, so two people can inhale at the same time.
Oh
And that
right. Okay.
because one person is inhaling while the other person is exhaling, so the gas goes toward the pressure, low pressure area. The person is inhaling, and then and vice versa. Because two people don't ever breathe at exactly the same rate, there's always pretty much going to be somebody inhaling while the other person is exhaling, kind of thing.
That's a
So
great idea. So two people can use it at once. So if like a husband and wife are watching TV at night or something like that, they're relatively close together. They can get their own long cannula and they can both just sit there, watch TV or whatever they do, and breathe at the same time. That's awesome.
exactly. Or you can inhale while you're doing one spot treatment, like in a bag or something like that. So when you're inhaling, you're getting all the
Oh,
gas, but when you're exhaling, the gas is going the other direction to whatever it is that you've got a bag or a spot treatment or something like that. So that
oh, so
there's the
that's really
ability.
cool. Yeah, so
Yeah,
you could do a spot treatment and inhale at the same time. That's cool.
yeah, yeah. So I love twofers.
Yeah. Oh, me too. I
Everything
know.
is,
I know because I'll use my like Rife machine or I have a PEMF mat or sometimes, I've got this little device that, stretches your back out and does traction. Whenever I do those things, I always do the hydrogen as well because, I'm laying there for 20 minutes anyway. I might as well do a, double treatment.
that's exactly right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I get on the treadmill or something like that, I like to watch a show or do some computer thing because I get so bored otherwise.
Yeah, yeah, I hear you. Here's a
And
couple
so
of
I'm doing my hydrogen, I'm on the treadmill, and I'm watching a show.
like five things at once. But that's the only way to do it when you don't have a time. Like you got to stack these things, right? You just
Yeah,
have to.
very true.
Um,
Which I should mention the satisfaction guarantee and the warranty on the machines.
oh yeah, I was
So
gonna. Yeah, yeah, we had a question about that. So yeah, that's this good time to do it.
okay, so warranty wise, I make the machines so they don't break down. I grew up on a cattle ranch. We had to fix our own machinery. I'm a very lazy person, so I don't like fixing something more than once. I would find out why it broke and fix it so that it wouldn't break again in any reasonable time. So I grew up with that philosophy, and then as I became an automotive technician fixing vehicles, I was I have very little respect for engineers. Now they do a good job and they build an automobile, what have you, but they don't
Yeah,
build them to be fixed. They build them to be manufactured,
yeah, yeah,
and they're like planned obsolescence, which I really don't like. So they don't build them to last as long as they should or be as efficient as they can or all those kind of things. But when they would break, I would figure out why it broke and fix it so that it wouldn't break again, kind of thing. And I built some really nice vehicles that way.
that's
So in any
cool.
case, and I kept vehicles running for way longer than anyone else conceivably would usually these days.
Hmm.
Like I had a 1984 Honda Civic that was a daily driver until 2016,
Oh my gosh,
and
84.
yeah,
That's
yep,
awesome.
84, yeah.
Wow, that's great.
So and even then, I gave it away to a fellow who because I had other vehicles and I needed to move and I had too many vehicles. So anyway, the so I have that same philosophy when I build my AquaCure machines. Like when I build any of my projects, I build them first of all to last. They're designed to last for decades, and then so I have a warranty on them, a lifetime warranty. If anything happens, it's manufacturer fault for the lifetime of the ownership of the machine. The person can return the machine or have it fixed. I pay for the shipping, the labor, the parts, everything. So when you buy a machine, you're getting it. It's supposed to last. If it doesn't, it's on me. That's
Hmm.
number one. Number two, I have a satisfaction guarantee because some things take a while for the Brown's gas to mitigate. It took years for you to get into the ailments that you have right now. It'll take time to mitigate them. Some of them can be done in minutes, like a carpal tunnel syndrome. Some of them in weeks, like the psoriasis I had that just peeled off. Some of them take months, some of them take years. So I have a 1 year satisfaction guarantee. For any reason whatsoever, you're trying the machine out, you decide within a year to send it back. And quite frankly, my biggest return, I even got one asked just this morning, is the reason for return. They didn't even take it out of the box.
No way.
I am not joking. Oh my goodness. I have less than a 1% return rate. And
That's great.
generally, it's from people that just simply didn't even take it out of the box.
Yeah.
So if you're going to buy it, use it. It's going to work for you. And anyway, I can offer a 1 year satisfaction guarantee. I did it at first in my business, not knowing what was going to happen, but I wanted people to be able to try it risk free, so
Hmm.
that they wouldn't have to worry about. They can get their money back because there's been so many things that I bought. When my late wife was ill, for example, I ended up being $300,000 in debt because we bought all kinds of things to try to mitigate her illness. And that was one reason. Another reason is I couldn't work when I was a 24/7 caretaker of this wonderful woman. So I couldn't make money, and we were spending money, and it ended up being. And that's the thing too. When you're ill, it isn't just you that's suffering; it's all your support system that suffers as well.
Right. Right.
And so there's a lot of there's a lot of beautiful things about being healthy and enjoying life and being able to help other people, and it offsets the negatives of people who are sick and need care. And
Mm-hmm.
it costs money. It costs a lot of money
Mm-hmm.
when you're ill.
Yep.
So yeah,
Yeah, it's
that's
interesting.
why I offered the satisfaction guarantee, because unlike a lot of those machines and stuff that I bought, I couldn't return them. I still have them. Uh, Even though they're kind of useless to me at the moment because they were for specific uses. But the AquaCure machine, if for some reason you don't like it, you don't like the color, don't like the anything, you can return it, and I'll give you your money back.
Wow, that's great. Yeah, and it's one of those things too where, it's like a subtle, feeling of just having more energy and feeling just more alive and more energetic. Because it's like if you go out and stand on the earth, for 8 hours a day, you're not going to feel anything right away, but it's a healthy thing to do, and over time, things are going to go away that you necessarily didn't think were a problem, but then all of a sudden you just feel like you have more energy, you're sleeping better, and you just feel a noticeably just upgrade in everything that you're doing, and that's cool that you offer a 1 year guarantee. I mean, that's amazing. That's awesome.
Yes, and the other thing, just along those same lines that you're talking there, doctors told me, I kind of knew it intuitively, but they told me that the Brown's gas helps treat depression. It helps the body get undepressed. It's a it People who are inhaling almost can't be depressed.
Wow, that's interesting. I
Yes.
wonder if it's because it's helping create energy, you know?
Yeah, it's something. Obviously there needs to be studies done on this particular aspect, but doctors who were prescribing it to their patients noted this, and are now using it as one of the things, like when and there's a lot of depression out there, unfortunately, these days. It's a lot of
Well, yeah.
That's one of the things that we can help mitigate.
That's awesome. Okay, so we have more questions than we have time to to get through, but a couple use case questions that I wanted to ask you that I thought were interesting was so three of them. I'll just kind of combine them all together from Instagram. So one is, can you use it in a sauna? Can you nebulize it? And what was the other one? Oh, the bath. Okay, so we already talked about that. So using it as a nebulizer, and can you use it in a sauna?
Um, I don't recommend it in a sauna, generally speaking, because it's a very small space, especially the little saunas.
Uh
That,
huh.
but first of all, yes, you can use it. It's kind of like bagging, for example, but you have to make sure that there's ventilation so that the hydrogen can escape, so you don't go over the lower explosive limit of hydrogen in air.
Okay.
Because if you although I will say there was a guy who bagged himself in a great big garbage bag type sauna thing where he had and and he did ignite the gas, and it did go boom.
Yeah.
and and he didn't hurt himself, like he didn't like it didn't damage him, but his head was out of the bag, so it didn't he
Oh,
wasn't
good.
inhaling an explosive mixture at the particular time. So all of his ears and eyes and nose and lungs and everything were okay. But I don't recommend it, because a bang like that is a very big bang. It can actually blow windows out of a room.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
but if it's low pressure, it really doesn't. Besides being loud and a slight pressure change, it doesn't actually damage anyone. But I tend to not like to have big bangs. One of the things I did is I worked in a mine site what they call the pit, and I got my blasting certificate, so
Oh my
I know what
gosh.
I know what big bangs are. Okay.
You have trauma over that. It's like
No, actually, I love explosions. I really
that's
do. But
funny.
there were a couple of ones that were a little bit. I won't do that again, kind of thing.
Yeah, I
It
hear
just.
that. That's funny. I just found the other question too. So okay, so the other one was the nebulizing, but then the other question I skipped over was, can you sleep with it? And that's something I've heard you talk about before, right?
Yes, absolutely. So I'll touch on the nebulizer really quick. You can bubble it in a nebulizer and it'll come out into the room. In fact, I was using it instead of or in addition to, I guess it would be, vapor machine, making water moisture in the air so that you could um, um, humidify a room. I think when they're talking nebulized, they're talking more like the nebulizers where you're actually got a mask and you're kind of inhaling that particular thing. And yes, that you can definitely do all that. Sleeping with it is absolutely a good thing. It's the only downside is you pretty much need to use a mask or a cannula, and so you have hoses. Now there's a lot of people that sleep with CPAP machines and things like that, and they manage to do that. But if you roll over in bed a lot, you can get your hose twisted around you. So
Yeah.
that's the downside of that one. But it does for people who are really busy during the day and they just don't have time to sit down anywhere. Um, like a farmer I was talking to just yesterday. He just he has to inhale at night because, and he's actually the guy who was just now telling me about wrapping the hose around himself.
Oh man, yeah.
But he has to inhale at night because he's out working, traveling, moving. There's just no way to sit down during the day. But so, and as we pointed out with the cancer lady, it's hours. Hours are the key thing when you're talking about serious therapy, the and efficaciousness. For example, Parkinson's. Again the same thing we've discovered. It's the length of time. If you can do it more a day, keep the blood saturated with the hydrogen, get more of that electrically expanded water in you. It does better. Your body can do more and more with it. Whereas if you're just getting short little bursts, it's not bad, but it's more maintenance than therapeutic efficacy. So the longer you can do it, the better. So if you can sleep with it all night, that really is the optimum way when you're really needing to do something with your
Yeah.
body.
That's awesome. I've never done that myself. I usually just, have it and do it when I'm working and stuff like that. And so I usually get a good chunk of the day, 6, 8 hours.
Yeah,
But
me too.
I've never done it really sleeping though. That would be interesting.
Yes, many people do have. I have heard no negative things about sleeping with it, other than you got to watch the hoses. So if you roll over one way, you have to roll it back over the other way. Just kind of
Yeah.
keep that cognizant.
Okay, so the last question is about EMF mitigation. Um, and I've heard, who was it? Was it Tyler LeBaron or someone else we had on our show talking about molecular hydrogen and its impacts on the body to reduce the impact of the oxidative effects of non-native EMF. Have you heard about that? And I'm sure you have, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It is astonishingly amazing. One of the first times I had actual proof of that, I flew for 4 hours to Albuquerque to where I was speaking, and they had a dark field microscope in the lobby, and they were just treating or looking at the blood of people.
Mm-hmm.
And I had my blood looked at, and I told the woman I had just gotten off a plane, a 4 hour plane ride, and she told me she was having trouble believing it because my blood did not show any of the radiation markers that you get, the damage that you get from being up in the air at 30,000 feet for several hours. So uh, that was interesting. I found that to be interesting because it was preventative of that damage. Now it turns out it's preventative for radiation damage of a lot of different kinds of non-native radiation.
Ooh,
So if
interesting.
you're inhaling on a normal basis, you're not likely to get the problem. Again, it's like the easy gel
Mm-hmm.
and all that. You can mitigate the problem, right, because you're getting what the body needs to fight it or prevent it. And then they've discovered that the hydrogen is helps the body heal from virtually all burns, and radiation burns are just like almost any other burn. It's the skin is oxidized. You heal 3 times faster. For example, a burn on the skin. You add a hot pot or whatever the case may be, even up to a 3rd-degree burn. Your burns will heal 3 times faster. This is what they've been discovering in virtually all cases. 3 times faster if they're treated with the hydrogen without a scar. That's also important. So
Wow.
it's astonishing. And and I could see huge benefits in medicine of this, where they can put a person in uh, like an iron lung kind of a thing, where they can have a hydrogen in the environment, like if they got uh, burns over a major portion of their body, kind of thing, like a big sauna
Wow,
with
that
the
would
head
be
out kind of thing. Keeping the hydrogen content under the lower explosive limit of 4.7% hydrogen in air, so that even if there's a spark in there, static electrical spark or something, it won't ignite. So getting back to the EMF, then also there's all these radiation therapies that are being done to mitigate cancer, for example, and healing from that. So there's all the normal radiations we're getting. Sunburn, oh my goodness, it takes care of sunburn really quickly.
I was going to bring that up.
And
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
that's
it's good.
amazing. Yeah, because I know that magnesium has an effect on this as well. Because I was reading Carolyn Dean's book, the Magnesium Miracle, and its effects on non-native EMF and stuff. But it's interesting because when you think about Wi-Fi and these signals like that, people typically think about getting covers for their routers, or there's silver clothes that you can wear. But not a lot of people are talking about things that you could do internally, like magnesium or molecular hydrogen to like if I were going to an office every day, this would be huge for me to be doing this all day as well.
That's right. And schools, children in schools, like, because they have Wi-Fi everywhere, and that, and they're going to have the 5G and 6G uh, concentrated out in the streets, and even beamed down from space with Starlink and that kind of thing. You just,
Oh
the entire
man,
planet radiated.
jeez, stop radiating us, man. Well, that's awesome. Thanks, George. We didn't even get into the safety, but if people are interested in the safety aspects of it, you can learn more on his website. And our previous two shows, we got into that as well. But I don't want to keep you all day. But George, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. It's awesome.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. And I think we put together a little coupon code, right? That's going to last for, I think, 7 days. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes. Thanks for reminding me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. So
So
it's,
what is it? Extreme Health Radio. It's
I think
sorry.
it's EHR 20. Is that right?
Yes. EHR 20. That's
Okay.
right.
Okay, cool.
All one word kind of thing. Yep.
Okay, cool.
And
So this is going to go out on Sunday evening. So that's what day is that? That's actually May 1st. So that'll go
yep.
May 1st, 2020 to the next Sunday, which would be May 8th, 2022. And then if you still want another discount when that one runs out, there'll be EHR 10. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah,
That's
that's
the
a standard
standard.
one that people can use all the time. So this special right now will give a 20% discount, EHR 20. Um, and then the 10 would give a 10% discount. Yes.
Awesome. Awesome. George, thank you again so much. Now, final question. What are you going to do the rest of today? Anything fun?
Oh my goodness. I have
Anything?
I'm 2 days behind on my emails, so that's going to
Oh,
take a major portion. It's 3:20 my time right now here, so I'll be running out. I got to do some errands and get myself back here within an hour,
oh
because I
man.
only work till 5 o'clock, and then I'm going to spend time with my wife.
There you go. There you go. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much again, George. And yeah, just have an awesome day. And thanks for being on.
May the blessings be.
All right. There you go, my friends. Episode 734 is in the books. I hope you enjoyed that show. George is a passionate man, as you can tell. And I thought that was really cool. And, I think it's really important, like, just to understand what healing options there are available. And I do want to reiterate, we can't make claims and we can't say it cures anything. And always check with your medical doctor, right? Because medical doctors are the only ones that can cure disease, right? And they're the health gods, right? So make sure to check with them. Um, I don't know if AI can understand sarcasm yet, but maybe when they do, we'll have to redo that. But yeah, I just, one of my big things is to lay things out there and let people know that options exist. And that's my biggest thing is make informed decisions. And one of the things I shared on our Instagram page or story recently was, if you're not following us on Instagram, we share so much good content. Follow us there on Instagram. I'll put a link on today's show page, extremehealthradio.com/734. But I shared a study or an article about Dr. Frederick Klenner. I think I mentioned him during the show. We had a Zoom call with our Academy members before this. I can't remember if I shared it there or earlier in the show, but Dr. Klenner was a medical doctor in the 1930s, and what he was doing was he was reversing polio, and he was bringing kids out of a coma, and he was reversing viral diseases with high dose IV vitamin C. And in general, I'm not a fan of using that because it's actually extremely acidic inside the body, and it causes the protein ceruloplasmin to fold incorrectly, disabling the 8 copper atoms inside of that, causing copper to be what they call unbound. And when copper is unbound, it's going to bind to other proteins and albumin and transcuprin and proteins like that when it's supposed to be inside ceruloplasmin. So in any event, I don't recommend IV vitamin C for that reason. But in this case, he was using it to help reverse diseases, of course with collateral damage as well. But the people that are recommending the sharp thing, from the government, don't even know who Dr. Frederick Klenner was. And that was my point. My point wasn't promoting IV vitamin C. My point was, do you even know that there's a medical doctor out there who was doing this in the 1930s? Do you know about treatments like ultraviolet blood irradiation therapy? You can read a really great article called The Cure That Time Forgot, and it's all about ultraviolet blood irradiation therapy. And we did a show with my friend, Dr. Richard Massey, all about this. And he uses ozone and peroxide and IV light, all three of which disable viral replication. And so it's one of those things where I don't think people understand what's out there and the suppression of information. And molecular hydrogen falls right in line with both those therapies. And I fully realize that, ozone therapy, well, there's debate about that, about the pH, but, hydrogen peroxide, light, these are all oxidants, and so is, oxygen therapies as well. But my point is that these therapies exist out there, and the government and the powers that be, they don't want you to know about them. That's clear because they do not want, us to be healthy and vibrant and, not full of fear. And there's a reason why the RDA, the daily RDA of copper is less than a milligram a day. There's a reason for that. There's a reason why they're adding iron into your food. So they want you sick. There's a war on information and there's a war against your health. And so that's why I like to, feature some of these technologies, like red light therapy, like infrared sauna therapy that I do, like PEMF therapy, like Rife machines, like molecular hydrogen. Because when you start investing in some of these things, instead of buying a new car, why not buy a molecular hydrogen device from George, or why not buy a sauna, or why not buy, an ozone generator and start utilizing these technologies? Because when you start doing this, you turn your home into a place of healing. And so whenever you're coming down with something, you don't run to the doctor, you run to your home and you go home and you start doing these treatments on yourself. And that's why I think it's so powerful. And it really is a revolution. And it really is a way to free yourself from the medical dictatorship that's happening right now, where they want you sick, they want you depressed, they want you completely dependent on them, and they want you to get their free healthcare system, which is just drug care pushing. They want all these things because that way you're dependent on them and their treatments that kill you. And another treatment that I wanted to bring up, which was from a listener, was what was it? The carbon dioxide baths. So that's something else that you can look up and research, using carbon dioxide and bathing in it. And there's whole treatments for that. You can get a full body bag and buy a gas tank and have it filled with carbon dioxide and do a bath of that. And I mean, there's these treatments out there that are incredibly powerful. And what they do is they just reconnect you with nature. They just, they just unplug you from the matrix and plug you back into source. And that is nature and God and all of this stuff. And so I really recommend investing in your health and getting a device like this and start investing, in these types of treatments, because they're so powerful and you can use them so many different ways. And the use cases, the applications, the, health challenges that you can use them for are just incredible. And then once you realize that you can reverse health challenges that are catastrophic, through the use of these things. What happens when you're just a healthy guy, healthy girl? How much energy can you have? How healthy can you be? How vibrant can you be? How much of an impact on the world can you have? If you have you're filled with energy, you're filled with hope, enthusiasm, and drive, and motivation, and desire. Like that's where we need to be. And so, investing in your health, yes, an AquaCure and a sauna is not natural, right? These technologies aren't necessarily natural. If we're living, connected to the earth all day long, not bathing in Wi-Fi, maybe we wouldn't need these devices. But because we live a modern, fast-paced life, utilizing technology in this way is incredible. So what I like to do is I use it when I'm working. If you work at an office job, you can bring it to work and you can just sit there with a cannula and breathe it while you're working at your workspace. Or you can take it home and breathe, the gas while you're sleeping. That would be an awesome. If you have eye issues, you can start working on your eye issues with the attachments that he recommended. What I'm really excited about is, dude, if we could get the deuterium attachment, that would be massive. Oh my gosh. Yeah, deuterium is a whole nother rabbit trail. We did a whole show on it, how it's heavy hydrogen, and one of the things it does is it corrupts your mitochondria's ability to create ATP and creates an altered field on complex 5, which is ATP synthase, which is a tiny little nanomotor that has I think it goes 9,000 times a minute, I think. So it creates this electric field in your body, and heavy hydrogen, deuterium, prevents your body from doing that. And so that's why drinking deuterium depleted water is going to help you create more energy and, to heal. And so, I've heard it, referenced for, pets, if they have cancer, doing shark cartilage, vitamin E, and deuterium depleted water, and reversing cancers and stuff. So it's pretty amazing stuff. So all these things are on the table. And, I hope you enjoyed that show. There was a lot of questions that we couldn't get to, but we did our best. And George is a cool guy. And so this coupon code is going to be available. I'll put links to it and the coupon code itself at extremehealthradio.com/734. If you want to support our work, consider buying one of these AquaCures. It helps George and it helps us. And also it's a win-win-win because you get an amazing device as well. But if you're looking for more like a cheaper way to support us, you can do that through, if you follow us on Instagram, on our bio page, or on the homepage of our site, we have an Amazon link. And you can shop whenever you buy on Amazon. You can just click the link and nothing changes on your end, but we'll just get a little commission for your order, and that helps support us as well. And you could donate on Patreon. A lot of people, give $5 or $10 a month. Or you can join our Extreme Health Academy, which is awesome. And a lot of cool training and videos and workshops and live events happening there every month and every week. That is $20 a month. But if you join our academy, if you join our newsletter list, there's a little discount there for you if you join our newsletter list. And you just sign up for that and you'll see what's available there. And then also, finally, the MitoLife supplements are the supplements I really, really like, as well as Lifeblood as well. He's got the best molecular methylene blue. And the supplements over at Lifeblood and MitoLife are just awesome. And if you shop at either of those two places, use our code, I think it's EHR15 for MitoLife and EHR10 for Lifeblood. And they have liquid, like vitamin, let's see what they have, the B vitamins. They have vitamin K2 in liquid form. They have a lot of cool stuff in the methylene blue. And then MitoLife has the Shilajit, the systemic enzymes, the vitamin E. The beef liver is coming out soon. I think he's coming out with a water filter too, which I'm really excited about. So if you ever shop at MitoLife, use our code. That will help support the work that we do, as well as Lifeblood too. And consider, getting some of those. And I'll put links to those at extremehealthradio.com/734. And thanks for sharing our show. Share it with your friends. Post it on Instagram. That would be awesome. And make sure to follow us there too. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for listening. And I will catch you guys on the next episode.